It's vainly nice to talk about yourself.
Yeah. That's actually a good start. It is vainly nice to talk about yourself, and finally, like when someone else gives you the reason to
That's it.
be on this side of the microphone. Yeah, thanks for coming, man.
That's all right.
I really
Thanks for having me.
appreciate that.
Thanks for
I
having me in
must
your
say,
home. It's lovely.
yeah. I must say it's pretty good of you to basically just walk off the bus straight into my house,
Yeah.
have a glass of water, and then a sticky camera in your face.
Straight in. Get on with it. No wasting time.
Yeah, I know. But last time that you were on Bloop, as I was saying before, we had a really good chat.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I thought it'd be cool to like pick your brain a bit more.
I just had a listen to that on the way down as well because I'd completely forgotten about what we spoke about.
Oh yeah, true.
So
well, we
I'd
might
just jog
actually.
my memory.
I'm sorry if I asked some of the same questions.
That's all right. That's all right.
I was thinking you were going to say that you also forgot what you played, and you might just play some of the same tunes.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was picking some tunes out this week, and I was like, "That's a great tune, but I played that last time."
Yeah.
You can't play that again. It's
I
tough,
do
isn't
that.
it?
I do that all the time, and then I'm like, man, screw it. Like, I love this track. Like,
It's so interesting, isn't it? The difference when you play. So I don't really play out that much at the minute, but in the past have been maybe every week or something like that. So you can get away if you're playing out every week, especially to different audiences. It seems like you can get away with. I've got this sort of bag at the minute. And I'll
yeah.
maybe swap a few tunes, but when you're playing out, especially say you're doing a recorded set, it seems much more like you find a full brand new playlist to
Yeah,
play.
I think it's such a good point because I feel the same. Like sometimes you forget that whoever's dancing on the dance floor like hasn't heard you play before.
Yeah.
So if like you're constantly changing it, then you're almost like in a way maybe doing a disservice. I don't know, but
Yeah, and sometimes it's if you know you can pick and choose tunes, or say you've got a 20, 30 track playlist, and you know next week I'm going to have a whole different playlist. That set of tracks almost becomes like obsolete instead of sort of cherishing, like making sure you find the good ones that you enjoy, cherish them for a little while.
Yeah.
But then you just end up, I have tunes that I'll play every time.
Yeah.
Just go to tracks.
You have a bit more leeway if you buy the records too, because then you're like, I really have to get like the
yeah.
most out of this one.
Yeah. I laugh quite a lot. Sometimes I'll play records at home, and sometimes I'll just film, put whatever I'm playing on Instagram, and there's a couple people who will message me every time with the track name, and it's almost as if we've got the exact same collection.
Yeah.
Every single record they play, they're like, yeah, that's so and so, this track, I've got that as well.
People are amazing with recall on that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe it's because I download too much music or I'm into a lot of different music, but I'm like, I'll always hear songs where I go, yeah, I know this song, but like
don't know the name.
Trying to
don't know the artist.
I might like have a vague idea of who the artist is, obviously because some artists have like quite a like familiar sound or whatever.
Yeah.
But people that, you know, sometimes you go out with people on the dance floor like, this is that track that blah, blah, blah played here and it's been played. I'm like, wow, that is amazing.
That's the best like trick, isn't it? Best party trick. If you can tell the song that's being mixed in as it's coming in.
Yeah.
Like a distinctive snare or a distinctive bass line.
Just from like the drum beat or something.
Yeah.
So have you played many gigs lately?
Just played in Liverpool, which was the
sick.
first time since December last year. So played in Liverpool for OGE. Had like
really?
Yeah.
Wicked, man.
Little event with a new brand called Speaker People.
Sick.
So it was just in one of the downstairs venues of Invisible Wind. I think it's called the Cave or something like that. Really small room, probably similar to your living room.
Yeah, studio, my studio.
And that was really good fun. It was nice to play out and nice to be sort of join those guys. And that's probably, other than coming down to you for Bloop in July, that would be the first time I've played out for or as Interstellar Beats, which was really, really nice. So yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, cool, man. Because you used to like make music in another alias, or
and
also DJ.
Yeah, pretty much all of my DJing was just under my normal name for the parties that we were running and sort of involved with. So essentially 99% of my DJing has just been local parties that we've run, just as myself playing whatever sort of music at the time.
Yeah.
And because it was probably, again, majority within Chester where I live, you'd know the crowds that were coming, you'd know half the people on the dance floor, you know exactly what people like. So whatever set time you were playing, you'd almost tailor it in a sense. You know, people love this. I've got this new tune I found that'll work really well. Whereas, I guess the difference now is that when you sort of playing from an artist's perspective, that shifts to more so you're doing your thing a little bit more.
Yeah, it is. I mean, doing what you were doing previously is a really good way to learn how to DJ.
Yeah.
And like learn how to
I
warm
think
up.
you need a good combo, don't you, of both?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas now it is a tricky shift where, as from a DJ perspective, I'm sure there'll be times where you're like you say you're playing as Interstellar Beats, but then your DJ mind kind of comes in. You're like, oh, maybe I should play this track with more vocals or whatever it is. But you're like, no, I'm doing Interstellar Beats today. I'm not doing.
It's a tricky. I don't know what you'd call that, like
a
crossover, isn't it?
It's threshold, maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
entertainer and artist, isn't it? Because essentially, people are there on their night out. They've paid money. If you're not the only one on the lineup, then they might not even care who you are. So
yeah,
I don't think you can fully go to artist unless you really, really are big.
Totally, yeah.
And you definitely shouldn't go full entertainer if you are an artist as well. But you got to find the balance that works for you and works for that crowd, I guess.
Totally. And that comes with like a lot of experience. I think definitely when I was younger, like I'd like to think I'm a way better DJ now, but that's maybe not like technically, but just reading the crowd and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I was younger, I was just played. I didn't care. I just played whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Which sometimes worked if like people were into it, but there was definitely
tricky,
so many times.
You've known so many people, I'm sure, who they know exactly what people want to hear and that's all they play.
Yeah.
But then they do that every event for a year and it's like by the end of it, it gets a little bit boring. Or I remember when we would do the parties, there would be a song that someone had played and it's gone viral on Instagram. Dennis Salter has played this song. And then the next event, everyone's playing it.
Yeah.
So then you've got it about 5 times throughout the night across 2 different rooms and it's... it gets a little bit... The first time is amazing, but it gets a little bit boring after that.
It is tricky because these days everything's recorded. Like all sets are recorded. There's content. There's videos of people playing. So like you probably can't get away with playing the same songs all the time. Or people will just get sick of them quicker because everyone's kind of doing it, you know?
And I guess that's the argument of if it's a really good tune, then surely you can just copy it and play it. But then... It's hard, isn't it? If you're just playing the biggest new tunes, which are obviously really good tunes, otherwise they wouldn't be as big as they are.
Yeah.
Where do you balance with that as well?
So at the OGE party, were you playing, like how many of your own tracks did you play? And did you play the releases that you have on OGE?
Yeah, I played for probably it was 90 minutes a set. And I played maybe 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah.
I think I played one of the first OG releases, one on the next one that's coming in January, one from a release I've got coming on Pirka this month,
cool.
And then a couple unreleased and I think an edit as well I've got. So
because all the Interstellar Beats stuff is like, I feel pretty like you're aiming for the dance floor, right?
Yeah, I'm not big on playing my own stuff though, really. I'm not sure if we spoke about that last time, but I was speaking to one of my friends and the 2 guys that run OG, Hayden and Martin. I was saying don't really like playing my stuff. I don't think it sounds good when it's mixed with other tunes. Like if it's like higher production quality and I'm mixing my tune and I think, oh, that sounds awful, but that's just me being my own critic. And then they were saying like, some people will actually be here. They want to hear your music. So, yeah, I played a little bit of it, but I'm still...
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to tell me. I'm like, I'm so ebb and flow with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mainly it's because I think when I'm DJing, I also want to hear other people's music. It's like, it's also exciting for me to play like another song. Yeah. So if you're just playing your own music, it's like almost in a way a little bit boring.
I almost feel bad as well. I'm like, it's like you're just stroking your own ego.
Yeah.
Like there's 50 people, I'll just play my music, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's again, it's that, I still see them, I don't know where you sit, but I still see them very much as two separate things, DJing and producing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas you'll see some people who have sort of merged the two so perfectly, but I almost feel now I'm only starting to make the stuff that I would probably play out.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas for the past 2 years, it's not quite there, or maybe it's like, I think a lot of the stuff I'm making is a lot lower energy. You would play maybe at the start of the night or in the daytime, something like that. But
no, for sure. It takes a little while to kind of get. I mean, I'm the same. I hardly make that much like dancehall music.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff you've been putting out is a little bit more home listening or
totally
that sort of vibe.
I think
so,
I don't know if you feel the same, but when I'm like having like a studio session, a lot of the times like the music I make like matches the mood that I'm in. And if I'm just like chilling at home, I've just had dinner or whatever, like I just want to be chill.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's hard to get in the mindset of like what a dance floor is like.
Yeah, and I think as well when you're not DJing out a lot, I see some people I'll follow online and they're playing out every weekend. So then when they're making tunes to specifically play out. Whereas for myself, or I don't know how often you're playing out, but I'm making stuff that I would enjoy listening to, which might not necessarily then fit like a 1 a.m. DJ set. So it does end up being a lot more lower energy or sort of home listening vibe, but it's still sort of house music.
Well, I feel like if OGE are like happy with what you're doing and they're signing it all, I mean, people are playing it, and they're definitely playing it on dance floors. You know,
yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? But yeah, I think that was probably the point to Interstellar Beats was you want to make stuff, but let's just, for this alias, make it into stuff that will fit on a dance floor. So give it a specific style of, right, it's going to have drums and it's going to have an intro, it's going to have an outro. That sort of style and arrangement for a club track is quite specific across club tunes, I would say.
So is that kind of the vision behind it when you started the alias? You're like, I just want to start fresh, and
that was it. Yeah. So we spoke about it briefly last time, but I was making, as most music people, I'm into so much, and I was making so much, just whatever I fancied at the time.
Yeah.
Could be techno, could be ambient, could be drum and bass, could be house. But I was also making a lot of minimal, like I'm making now. And that was most of what I was playing at the time as well, when I was DJing. So I thought, why don't I just do it? So I was putting everything I was making, or a lot of what I was making, I was putting out under a different alias. So I thought, why not just make an alias to put this club music down?
Yeah.
I work a little bit better when I've got a bit of a box to work in and say, right, this is what we're doing, instead of just saying, here's a blank canvas, do something. That's
so true. Even if, especially if you don't have as much time, like say you're not doing it full time or whatever, and you've only got X amount of hours every week, you need to sit down with like some sort of plan. And like you're saying, to just be like, I'm making club music. Rather than just be like, what am I doing today? I was listening to drum and bass yesterday.
So now, whenever I'm having a bit of a down period where I'm not feeling so creative or so into it, that's when I'll swing towards like, I'll just go in and I'll make some sort of ambient pad.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. And it won't be like, you have to do this thing today. It'll just be go in and do something. I might just make a drum loop, or I like making a lot of stuff similar to your album. That
cool,
I don't know even what you call it,
like
sort of
down,
electronica.
Electronica, down tempo,
sort of like the Valby Rotary stuff, just emotive down tempo stuff that there's no rules with it. Your drums don't have to be certain volume. There's no certain arrangement that you might follow. So that'll almost then tick me over until I'm like, right,
totally,
I've
unlocks
got a bit of inspiration
you in a way,
yeah.
Are you pretty like vigilant with your routine of sitting down to make music?
No,
really, because I feel like you're quite productive. Like you're always sending me new like EPs. I'm like, damn, you like really produce a lot. From my perspective, I don't know.
I think I am efficient.
Yeah,
but I'm not consistent with it.
Yeah, okay.
in terms of I'll get in every week.
That's pretty
least.
consistent.
But like we said last time, it's such a time consuming thing, and I've really tried not to force myself. If let's say I've got an evening free or I've got a weekend day free, if I really don't want to make music, I'm not going to go force myself to do that because
Yeah,
I won't enjoy it. It's like what's the point of it if you're not actually enjoying it anyway?
totally. Yeah.
It's not something I want to force out. Or that's the time I'll say. So me and my girlfriend just rewatched Stranger Things, and the soundtrack to that it's sort of a lot of my favorite music ever. Like the guys that have made that.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting.
Serious nerd on
Yeah.
on those guys. They're unreal. So
What, like, are they composer, like sound design guys?
yeah, it's two guys, I think, Kyle Dixon and Michael Stein.
Yeah, cool.
And as far as I'm aware, they were sort of like in a little bit of a synthy band with some friends before Stranger Things. So they were playing some shows, putting out some music, very synthwave 80s sort of stuff. And one of the people making Stranger Things reached out and said, "We love your music. Would you do the soundtrack to it?"
Oh, no way.
But yeah, really inspired me. That's when I started redoing that sort of ambient stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure.
Is that something you're interested in doing, like composing or like soundtrack stuff?
Yeah, I'd love to. I've done a couple of bits just for fun in the past where I found like you can go on YouTube, you can get film scenes with no music. So I'll just rip them off, make some stuff to it, trailers with no music. So I've done some stuff for fun. But again, it just breaks up that monotony of, because Interstellar is such a singular focused thing, it lives within its own world, within its own rules and stuff like that. That sort of stuff is like you're still making music for fun when you want to.
Yeah.
Not that I don't enjoy the Interstellar, it's just when you're making stuff with such strict rules, I guess.
Yeah, if you're always kind of making the same thing, it does get, sometimes it feels like monotonous and you don't want to do it anymore, especially if you're listening to so much different music.
That's it. Yeah, so I really probably don't listen to that much dance music.
Yeah.
Generally, I'll listen to mostly music in the gym, which will be grime or drum and bass.
Really?
Like that.
Yeah, no way.
And then the rest of what I'd listen to would be the sort of sound of your album.
Yeah.
That sort of emotive, deep break beats, live drums, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So then actual dance music I'm listening to very rarely.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Like, I understand what you're saying. I haven't hit the grime yet, though. That's not.
Yes.
Grime didn't really.
I'll send you a playlist.
No, seriously, I'd love to hear your perspective of what the grime that you like.
Yeah. So that's an idea of how broad of stuff I was making back then. So I'll still attempt to try and make some sort of beats and stuff like that.
Sick.
With one of my friends. So that was why I needed to start Interstellar, because it was like, you're not getting anywhere here with stuff, because it's like you've got 15 different genres that you make in it. So.
Do you think that you'll start releasing other styles of music with like a specific alias as well?
Yeah, so that was the past couple of months. It's probably since I last saw you. I had slowed down with Interstellar stuff just naturally.
Yeah.
I think I'd done loads and then just naturally hit a bit of a wall where I was like, just lacking a bit of creativity. I didn't do much. I ended up working a little bit more through sort of August, September. And I was making some other different stuff. So that ambient stuff I sent you yesterday, a couple of other bits that are vocally down-tempo stuff like that, which then I'm just back and forth of how do you put it out, because it doesn't fit with Interstellar. And then you're just back to square one of you need somewhere else to put them out. So yeah, eventually I'll put stuff out under a
I'm sure if you do like alias. I mean, you did a great job with the Interstellar releases, so I'm sure if you probably know what to do some like research, find the right labels that you would want to release, hit them up.
I just hate the whole like the label thing and finding people, and that's why I was so drawn to Bandcamp.
Yeah,
just the ease of it. Like, you've made something, you're excited about it, you're sure that you're happy with it, and then you've got to spend 2 months finding a label, sending it to them,
Yeah, I know.
and then they might not like it, and then you find another one, and then they put it out. Right, we'll put it out next year.
Yeah, I know.
So you're like, this exciting new creation of yours doesn't see the light of day for a year,
Totally, yeah.
and then by that time you might not be into it, or you might then, your production skills might be so far ahead that you're like listening to it and you're like, this sounds crap, this sounds crap.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It is, that's what's so good about Bandcamp. The thing is, like, you need to put like a little bit of effort into getting it heard, really, which I feel like you've done pretty well at. Like, even the first release that you did, like, it has quite a lot of buys on there. I was checking it out just before.
Yeah,
like,
they did weirdly well on Bandcamp.
What did you do promotional wise for that?
So before that, before I started Interstellar with the other music I'd put out, I was sending them to YouTube channels like
yeah.
House Razor, Definite Party Material, places like that.
Yeah.
That would share music anyway. So I'd send stuff to there.
Oh, that's really smart.
So sort of figured out that was the route to go from no followers or no one listening to some audience.
Yeah.
Because most of the channels are super, super supportive, and I would say at least half, 3/4 of the time, your message will be like received, replied to. They're listening to your music, and they're honest. Like if they like it, they like it. They'll put it on. If they don't like it, they won't. But they're not. I've experienced most of the time they're all really supportive.
Yeah, awesome.
So stuff on there was getting a couple thousand plays before Interstellar. So I was like, that's the route to go down, because there was no following to it before that, anything like that. So the first one was, I think, Move It, with a remix of my friend Rarebit. So sent them both out to, I think Razor put them both up, and Double Trouble put one of them or both of them up. And they just got a good amount of views from there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I think the end of last year, Jake's remix, Rarebit's remix, got played by Ben UFO at Debt Mental. So it got put in loads of Spotify playlists. And then that just boosted that again.
Man,
yeah.
Do you know how you got a hold of it?
Not a clue. Yeah. No. So I'm normally
I always wonder with that. Like, sometimes when a DJ plays a track, I'm like, how does he even have that song?
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'll go through, quite psychotic. I'll go through all the Bandcamp stuff, like seeing who it is, especially when I know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When I know someone's got it. So I've looked for Ben UFO.
Oh, like on his bed.
Yeah. Can't find anyone that's even sort of looks or sounds remotely like
I'm
him,
sure he just has like some mailers. Because someone once sent me Villalobos's Bandcamp.
Just like a random.
Yeah, it was like a random Bandcamp. And they're like, this is Villalobos. I'm like, I've heard everyone's telling me it's Villalobos Bandcamp. I'm like, how do you even prove that?
So that's what I've wondered as well. And then thank God for the internet, because as soon as someone big plays something, so I think he played it twice. He played it in Debt Mental somewhere, Debt Mental Selector, something like that. Yeah. And then instantly there's about 10 Spotify playlists that are like played by Ben UFO at Debt Mental. That's
awesome, man. Yeah.
So that then drives listens on your Spotify. People then buy it on Bandcamp. And then I think Jules played it as well.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But yeah, that first one did well, and then enough people then followed on that it was like, I did the same with the following ones, sent them all out to YouTube channels, but then you just gradually built the following. So I think my Bandcamp followers has always been pretty much the same, if not more, than my Instagram.
Yeah, that's amazing.
A bit backwards.
That's but I think that's like the right way to do it. It's like doing it through the music, especially if you like, I mean, you're pretty what do you call it, like mysterious on your Instagram, like putting like a record in front of your face and stuff. And I remember when we first started chatting, I was like, who is this guy? But then it's just, I get it though, like, because it's like,
it all probably seems intentional. It's just pure lack of self-esteem that just avoid the limelight at all costs.
Oh mate, you don't have to tell me. Every time I do an Instagram post, I'm like reading it 15, like it just takes me hours, because I'm just to press post some like shitty thing.
I'm gradually getting to the point where I'm okay with it, but I still can't find like a good enough picture to use as my actual profile picture. So that was at the start, was even the last alias was like just a random name, Faceless, was I just didn't want anything to be judged other than the music.
Totally, yeah.
And I feel like there's that much going out, new music, that it's quite easy to judge, right? Where are they based? Oh, it's based in Berlin, so it must be good. Or it's a certain kind of person, young person, old person, whatever. Just instantly, naturally, as a human, you judge things differently depending where it comes from, I think. So I think just removing all that, just wanted the music to try and speak for itself.
That's a really interesting perspective. It is true though, because most people, especially these days, I mean, even me, I don't know if I'm like tricked into it, or you just think that everyone has to do it. So you just, this is part of the game, so to speak. So
and
like,
I mean, if you're scrolling on YouTube or SoundCloud or Discogs looking for new music and you see a white label, you're much more likely to click on it because it's different.
yeah.
Same with if you see certain characteristics or certain labels, just whatever is associated with that song, you'll judge it, or you'll click on it more, or you'll click on it less.
Yeah.
So that was how it started, was just, as well as not being so confident in myself or my actual ability, it was sort of like you can hide behind that, can't you? If no one likes it, it doesn't matter because it's not linked to you. So
yeah. That is like fair enough. I mean, it's turned out that a lot of people like it. So
yeah, I've been lucky, to be fair.
There you can start posting your face all over Instagram going, it's me.
Yeah. Surprising, then everyone unfollows.
Yeah.
How did you find, you did your album through Bandcamp, did you?
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Yeah, I think it went well. I kind of over the years have built like a little promo list just from the people that I've met, people that have bought my music on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
And then I also just did like an Instagram post. So I was like, if anyone wants to join my promo list, like send me your emails now. So I think like, not that I'm amazing at promotion, but the one thing I've definitely learned is like, it's good to try to build as many personal relationships as possible.
Yeah, 100%.
So like always just inboxing people, even if you haven't met, even how we built our relationship, it's just like you are just like really intent with the people that you talk to. If I release music, I'll individually like message them and be like, hey, I think you might be into this. If I think they'll like it, it's not just like anyone.
Yeah, I think that's important as well, isn't it? If you are sending people what you actually think they're into, rather than just spamming your full contacts, then let's say you send me 2 or 3 things that you've made, and every one I'm like, oh yeah, I'm actually really into that. Every time I get a message from you, I'm going to be like, yeah, he must have good stuff on me.
You're going to check it. Exactly. It's just like human nature. Like when you're part of the group chat, you don't like, you just let it run. Like everyone does it. It's nothing personal. It's like, it's because it's not personal to you, you know?
Yeah. I had a look because last time we were unsure how we'd got in touch, and that was exactly how we had started a relationship. Was I think you played The Essence, which was the second Bandcamp tune.
Yeah, on Bloop. Yeah.
So then I messaged you from that. So I'd seen it. Then I'd messaged you, sent the OGE digital stuff, and then you'd played them. So exactly what you're saying there is you've got to be really on it. And I think that we're really lucky to have the internet because it makes trying to get your music out so much easier, but you still have to use it. Like you have to be messaging people. I'll try and message anyone who is sort of playing my music or buying it. I'll try and message to say whatever, thanks, or maybe if they're playing out regularly, I'll try and send them some new stuff. And again, just build relationships that way.
Most people are like, if someone's playing your music, like for instance, when you messaged me after I play your songs, I was like so pumped that you messaged me and sent me unreleased music. Like, I think you're never going to lose doing that stuff. Like,
no.
People are always keen, you know?
Yeah, that's it. I seen a DJ called Marley, who I didn't know about before.
From Sydney, the girl. Yeah. She lives in London now. Yeah.
So I just got a message on Bandcamp, said someone's bought 7 of your tunes, 6 of your tunes, spent a tenner. I was like, I'm mad.
I always feel that way as well. I'm like, someone spent a tenner on me.
So seen it, Marley, didn't know who they were. And then a couple of days later, I was on Instagram and seen someone that I followed and her were playing back to back in Ibiza. So I was like, Marley, is that the same Marley?
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
double checked, realised it was, found out who she was, gave her a message, sent her some new stuff. And then she ended up playing that new unreleased stuff in. She did a Fabric podcast.
Oh, no way,
So I ended
man.
up
That's
playing
awesome.
2 of those tunes in there, which was, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, may not have happened if I hadn't reached out.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
totally.
mean? And
Yeah.
like you say, if someone's already into your music, chances are they're going to enjoy hearing some stuff
Yeah.
that's not even out yet.
What I was going to say now that we're back, I'll fix this with editing, was so many times when I'm looking for music, I will find a song and then maybe I get distracted or I don't have time or I've got too many like tabs open and I'll just get that one song by them.
Yeah.
And then I'll play that song heaps and it'll just skip my mind to actually find what other songs they have.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's good that you hit her up because maybe she was like, you know, these songs are great, but I don't have time to look at the rest of them, blah, blah, you know, whatever the reason.
And you've got to use the internet to your advantage. So like, I'll try and if anyone is an actual DJ who's playing out and they end up liking or following or buying something, then I'll try and reach out to them, send stuff to them, because a lot of people will buy your music just to listen and stuff, which is amazing, much appreciated. But the point of it is for be played out, isn't it? So
yeah, it's for DJs in a sense, yeah.
So anyone who is regularly playing, I'll try and send them some stuff, and you'll be the same. You just like sharing new stuff.
Yeah.
When you've got stuff that's not out yet, it's exciting, and
Yeah.
no one knows about it, and anyone who even remotely wants to know, I'm spamming their inbox
Yeah.
with anything.
No, that's what I love so much about having like a radio show is you can play new music that you like and share it. And then also like if I've made songs that within that 2 weeks or whatever, then just like slipping them in and seeing
How
how
do
they
you
sound.
find? So I really love the idea of having that sort of regular thing, but the thing that worries me is constantly having the new music. Do you know what I mean? To play and stuff.
I mean,
how do you find going about that?
Well, I try my best. To be honest, I love it when people send me promos because then I go, I'm probably going to like this, and then I don't have to look too hard for music.
And it's also,
and you get to promote them, you know?
Yeah, you're promoting people that generally you're either friends with or contacts with.
Yeah.
Or you're playing something that's not quite out yet, or it's a bit of a secret hot take. Like, so all of that is seems a lot more fun.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though. You do sometimes if I haven't had a gig or I'm like just been busy and I haven't had that much time to like really search for music, you know, the night before or a couple of nights before, I might be like, oh, I still need a few more tracks to fill out this show.
Yeah.
And then it can be like a little bit stressful because I feel like I don't want to just do the same thing I did last week.
No.
But now I've realized, well, now I've taken a different approach of just like similar to what you're saying about Interstellar Beats is like each show just being a bit more specific to genre and boxing yourself. That's why I did like the ambient thing.
Yeah.
Or like 1 week I'll do one where I'm like strictly playing like my friends' music that they've sent me.
Yeah.
Or,
did you do an album playthrough as well?
I did an album playthrough, which was really fun. I just trying different things.
Do you know what's cool about all that though is it expands. If I'm listening to your show and you're playing house music every week, then all I know is that you play house music.
Yeah.
Or all you make is house music. But then when you're doing the other things, it expands you as an artist to the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's sometimes a bit of a delay between what you're making at home and what you're playing at home and what you're into. Everyone in the world, your audience only knows your last radio show, your last release, stuff like that. So I found it this year the 3 releases I've had, or I'm having at the minute. So OGE in, I think it was August or September, and then Pirka, and then OGE. They were all signed pretty much before we last met in July.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So they were all done by June.
Yeah.
So I knew I was really happy with them. But then the world's not going to see them for 7-8 months. And the last release that was out was just like a single Bandcamp track. So in my head at the time, it was like I thought I was here, but the world only knows you back there. So same with if you're not playing out and you're not playing radio shows, there's that sort of little bit of a lag.
Yeah, it is hard if you're not like DJing as much. Because even since I moved to London, I don't really DJ as much as I used to.
No.
So you also don't get a chance to like actually test the songs out and see what they sound like and see if they're lacking energy in certain parts.
Yeah.
That's like such a good tell when you play your own song out, and then you can see how people react. You're like, okay, this is really good, or this needs to be worked on.
That's potentially why, like before I was saying, I don't like playing my stuff out. It's because I'm generally not hearing it on a big system.
Yeah.
Ever. I've got it on my speakers at home, a couple of pairs of headphones, but I don't know what they sound like in a club.
Yeah.
So I've heard a couple of them now, but I haven't really haven't heard them. Whereas if you are playing out every week or every month, you're probably going to play them. You know how they sound. You go back to the studio, you adjust. I heard one of them recently. We went to a friend's night in Chester recently, and I don't know whether it was just a sound system or my track, and I was like, the bass is way too loud.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah. And I'm there with my girlfriend, I'm saying, does that bass sound crap? She's like, no, it's fine, shut up.
That's funny actually, because Haley, my partner, she has become like a really good kind of like mixing consultant for me because she has very neutral ears.
Yeah.
And I'll play her my music and she always thinks the drums are too loud in the songs that I play her.
Yeah.
And then when I review it, I'll be like, yeah, they actually are too loud.
Is that on sort of house music or all of
any
the music
really? Oh,
That's
I have like
interesting.
my number one like worst trait is my kick drums are always too loud. And then I play them out and then I go, wow, that has to actually be so much quieter. So now when I'm mixing down, by default, I'll turn my kick drum like 3 dB down at least because it's always too loud.
It's really, really tricky, isn't it? And I guess that goes again to the genre stuff where I was listening again to your album on the way down, and it's that sort of music. As long as nothing is too loud, there doesn't necessarily need to be any relative ratio between your drums. Whereas something like house music, generally your kick and your bass, you want not like a specific number, but you want to feel your kick and your bass without them being overlapping. And if your clap's too quiet, then you can't hear it. If it's too loud, it's overpowering. And whereas with the sort of down tempo stuff, you can really go to your own taste.
Yeah.
And play around. But yeah, that's interesting.
To be honest, with that album, a lot of the mix downs, my last reference was the laptop speakers.
Yeah.
Because I was like, cool. So many people, and even me, I'm just going to be listening off. I mean, the new M1 speakers are decent, but you just listen to so much music on that, on like your little boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was listening to it through that, and I was like, if it doesn't sound good on here, then I need to remix some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing I heard a long time ago with mixing was try and listen on your worst quality speaker, whatever that is. If it's your headphone, like say you got like AirPods or something. Say you got one of them waterproof shower speakers. If it sounds good in there, then it'll sound any better.
How did you learn did you like go to school or anything for sound production, or you just kind of learned?
No. YouTube.
Yeah. YouTube, yeah.
YouTube on lunch breaks at work and just being addicted to stuff. I have a bit of a tendency to be all in on stuff that I'm into. Hence why, like you said, if it seems like I'm making loads, it'll be, if I'm making stuff, and I'm just all in for a little period, and then I'll come away. But that was it, just YouTube for everything.
Did you, when you first started, was it like a big learning curve, or did you have musical background?
I played a couple of instruments when I was younger, so I played piano a bit, played guitar a bit, so I had
an idea,
basic understanding of, like, I knew not what scales were, but I knew of scales. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't tell you the notes. Right, a scale is a thing.
And if you knew if something was out of key, you could hear it and stuff.
Maybe, yeah. But it just all YouTube, and then just making stuff.
Yeah.
Making stuff, sending it to people.
Did you ever get lessons or anything?
No.
No way.
No, just literally just YouTube.
Yeah.
I toyed with, like, I think, is it Point Blank Music Production School? Toyed with that. I've toyed with a couple stuff, but honestly, YouTube is, people growing up now are so lucky because
Oh
I
yeah, I
honestly think
know.
you could learn anything off there
Yeah.
to the level of at least a degree, if not higher.
Me and
There,
my me and my mate always have this joke that you don't need a dad anymore because you're just like, yeah, you can go to
but there
YouTube.
are channels where it'll be like, how do I change like a cistern in a toilet?
Yeah.
And there'll be some bloke there really kindly showing you how to do it to a T.
And you can skip through it and go
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah.
Mate, I know I've like it's YouTube method. My mate's dad like basically renovated his whole house off YouTube. Like honestly, like just
It's
looking up
crazy.
carpentry videos.
Yeah, yeah. And I think sort of YouTube for tutorials on anything you want to learn.
Yeah.
But it's an endless game, isn't it? Production where you could never learn everything there is to learn. And
Yeah.
there's that quote from whoever where it's like you need to learn everything, and then you throw it away and you just do the thing.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you can get trapped in the rules, but you need to know essentially, like you just saying about the mix downs, you can't just have kicks that are too loud in
Yeah.
a club track because it's going to sound crap and it's going to put people off. So you need to learn it, and then you can throw it away and just do what you
Totally,
do.
yeah. The thing is with that, with YouTube and stuff, early days, what I found really difficult was like I didn't have the vocabulary to like search what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
I just remember there were times where you like just hypothetically speaking, like I didn't know what side chaining was called. So you're
Yeah.
like, how do you
Yeah,
do the
yeah.
thing where the sound goes down when the kick, and then it's like a bit of wasted time
Yeah.
Googling.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have lessons, obviously you've like passed that point now, but like, especially when you're in those first like beginner intermediate levels, it's so good to be able to ask like a direct question and have it answered straight
How
away.
did you start?
Same as you, like YouTube, but I also like sat down. I didn't necessarily get lessons, but I sat down with a lot of peers that were like a lot more
Yeah,
advanced than me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did sound
lucky.
production at TAFE as well.
Oh, so
Yeah,
yeah.
like
Is that
years
like a college or a
Yeah,
uni
like
or
a
something
community
like?
college, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, for like, it was part-time for like 3 years, I think, when I left high
That's good.
school.
Yeah.
But
Do you feel like that benefited your music production?
I think it did a lot, but I also was like so young, and like I was like 18. I was like getting drunk every night. You know, like you're not
I feel
really
like
applying yourself that much.
With, I guess it goes with anything in life, but if you can throw some money at it, or you can throw someone else's experience at it,
Yeah.
you just expedite the process. So
Yeah.
like say, if you pay for lessons, or you read a book on it, or you go to college for it, you go to uni for it, you're essentially gonna, in theory, you're gonna be better in a shorter amount of time
Yeah.
than if you just sit on Ableton and try and figure it out.
Yeah. It fast tracks. Yeah.
But either way works. Like there's a lot of these music production sort of like subscription sites now, like Josh Baker's doing Syntho, and
Is he? No
I
way.
think Kepler's got one where essentially it's just like a website you subscribe to, you pay a monthly fee, and they've got all sorts of track breakdowns and how to do this, how to make music in this style, and loads of big artists like obviously Baker's on his. I think Rich Next is on there. I think there's
like
there's
they have
loads
guests
of
on
big
and stuff.
people, and they'll break down their songs. They'll say how they do it. So
Yeah.
doing that is obviously going to be way quicker than trying to figure out how to do something just based off YouTube.
Yeah.
Like you say, when you don't even know really what you're looking for.
Totally, yeah. A lot of the times, like seeing behind the veil or whatever the saying is, behind the curtain, it's like, it's actually not that complicated. And then it actually gives you confidence when you watch that
Yeah.
stuff. Because you're like, oh, it's actually just not that.
As soon as you said that, seeing behind the veil, that's exactly what I thought. Was every time I've seen someone that I idolize their music, I really love music that I don't understand how they've made it.
I am exactly the same. That is the music that excites me when I listen to it and I go, how'd they do that? And then I want to know.
Like, Tom VR is arguably one of my favorite producers.
Same. I love that guy so much.
And for years, I just never knew how he created any sound in any of his tracks. And I was lucky enough to know him a little bit, so would speak to him, peck his head about all sorts. And anyone online, like I've seen a couple of Coulter interviews, and the things they're doing are so not as complicated as you think.
Yeah.
Or they're using, I've seen a Coulter interview, and he's like, this bass in, I think it's Get Sexy, one of his tracks, really, really good bass, thick, nice top end to it, and it's like, yeah, it's just this Ableton stock operator,
Yeah.
and it's like you would have thought it'd be some crazy plugin,
Yeah.
or he's using like mostly Ableton stock effects, and you're like,
Yeah.
you would think that as the music gets better, it needs to be more complicated to make,
Yeah, totally. I know.
but nine times out of 10, it's just
No, totally. I
so
know.
simple. Isn't
It's
it?
just their way of developing this kind of sound that they have. Do you find that you kind of have these certain traits and like habits in a way that you do in Ableton that have kind of sculpted the way that you make music?
Yeah, I think so. I think the same, like we were talking before about all your different influences in the music that you like. I think all of that comes into your productions, doesn't it? So
Yeah.
a lot of what we tend to make, I think every single track I make has some sort of big reverbed ambient pad in it somewhere,
Yeah.
whether it's sort of in the background or whether it's main part of the track, and that's just your influence coming in. Most of the drums I use will be 909s, just because I think they sound great. Yeah, and stuff like that. The kind of style of music. I find it interesting when you think you're going in to make something like X, Y, and Z because you're influenced by whoever, and the thing you make, just because your production skill isn't quite there, sounds way different to what you were thinking you're making, but you still like it.
Yeah.
So then people are like, "Oh, this is your style," but your style is just a failed attempt at someone else's style.
That's really funny. Yeah, I think a lot of the time your style, as in like not your specific, but your style is just picking out like to me, it's just like going in and randomizing shit and then just picking out the best parts.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe your style is also like / your taste, and that's what becomes your music.
I find I'll work a lot from an inspiration track. Like I'll be listening to something. It could be an album, it could be a song, it could be a mix someone's done, and I'll find some inspiration of, I really like how they've done that pad, or I really like the groove of this. Like this is a really heavily swung 90s track. I really like that. So I'm just going to go in and try and make that.
Yeah.
And then essentially within however long, you've got sort of a basis of a track that you thought you've styled on something, whoever, Tom VR or Mullen. I like a lot of his stuff, and it's way different. And then you just follow where that path takes you.
Yeah.
So you started with this swung 90s style track, and now it's something different. And
Totally,
you just follow this creature and see where it ends up.
That's like the exercise in kind of finding inspiration rather than letting it come to you.
Yeah.
Like, because I do something similar where, especially if I'm lacking inspiration, I'll be like, I love Mullen as well. So I'll just go find one of his tracks and just be like, okay, how does he do this part? And try and make that. And then
I would probably say half of my tracks are me attempting to make something that sounds like his Moy series.
Oh, he's a beast, isn't he?
And it'll end up, I'll get some drums, bass, and a pad that I like, and then it's different, and then I'll follow it, I'll add a melody, and it'll end up something different. But yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of the way how you always make your own original music or an original sound. You're just borrowing from other people.
Yeah.
It's like impossible to not be influenced by all the music you've heard, obviously.
And then you get into the debate of either, say, copying stuff in like a positive, good way. Say you're copying, like we're saying, if I'm trying to make the drums specifically the same way Mullen's made it on one of his tracks, and then I use them in my thing, or say you're using samples off Splice or Sample Market, wherever, becomes then the debate of how original is your thing. It's an original track of unoriginal pieces, almost.
Yeah. Well, that's a really very interesting perspective. Yeah. Are you like an anti-loop guy?
No, not at all. Yeah. Use loads of loops.
Yeah, same. I do. I use so many loops, but you know, some people are like, I got to do everything.
Yeah.
Like,
I really don't think now at this point you can have a fully original piece, because I mean, every chord has been played, every instrument, every synth has been used. It depends how deep you would want to go into it, but if all your things, every part of your track, every drum sound, every bass is something that you haven't fully created from scratch, it's just a load of samples effectively, isn't it? Even if you've sampled your Korg synth,
Yeah.
whatever, people have already used that. They've already used that preset
Everything's
a
been
million
done.
times. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just the way you're putting it together, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Do you mainly do like in the box, or do you have like synths?
Yeah. Probably 90% in the box. I've got
Okay, yeah.
Korg Minilog XD, which I use a lot for a lot of nice pads. It's taken me about 6 months. I've now eventually got it MIDI connected up, so I've been using
Oh,
that,
nice.
sending some MIDI to it. And I've just got a Yamaha RM1X, so I've yet to really delve into it. But
What's that? Is it?
it's I think they're called groove boxes.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's sort
Yeah.
of like an all-in-one machine.
Sequencer kind of thing.
Essentially, it's just a sample box.
Yeah, okay.
And you can sequence within it. You can use MIDI to play it as just a sample box. And then you've got a load of parameters on it that you can control. But essentially, it's just got hundreds of samples in it from
Ah, yeah.
90s, early 2000s.
And you can load your own in there.
I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can buy old floppy disks
Oh, for
of
real?
samples,
Yeah.
but I don't think you can, say, take a pack of 99 drums and put them on there. I don't think you can do that. But
Yeah, fair.
what about you?
Yeah, I mean, these days all in the box. I'm getting a lot more into Ableton since I moved here.
Yeah.
I think it's just changed in general since I moved here because I've really had to slim down, so to speak.
Yeah.
I really miss like having my guitars and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm going back to Oz in February for the month. So I'm probably
Nice.
going to bring back stuff with me this
Yeah.
time. Because when we moved here, I was a bit like...
Would that be your sort of dream setup? Would to have a couple of guitars, have a couple
Yeah, I just love like live instruments and I love
Yeah.
recording stuff. Like a lot of my older music, I used to record like almost all the percussion and make
That's
my own
sick.
loops
Yeah.
and stuff. And I kind of stopped doing that a little bit, especially since we moved here because I don't really have access to like a really good mics and stuff. But
Yeah.
I have a pretty decent mic back home, so I'm going to bring that with me.
Yeah.
And then I want to start doing a lot. I used to like make all my own sample packs and stuff,
That's
but
sick.
just for my own
Yeah.
use,
Yeah.
because like then that also in a way would shape like the way you have your sound. Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting idea too. And I've spoken to a few people who have said the same, where every time they'll create something, whether it's a drum sound or sometimes I'll layer up different claps or kicks, and then you've got this new clap or kick, or say you're making your own percussion loops, saving all them to your own thing, and then you start building up your own bank of your specific sounds that you've created from other sounds.
Totally.
And then you get deeper and deeper into your specific sound, don't you?
100%. And like always, like if you came up with like a cool sound design thing in one of your tracks, it's always good to like save that and put that in your own sample pack.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a chord or something. And then you can use that again. Like
that's one thing I was saying before. I feel quite efficient with it is I had a lot of pre-saved either sort of synths that I would create a patch or something and then save that as a preset, or save specific drum racks of stuff, effect racks. So quite quickly I could form the stuff I like. Say it would be a drum rack of a load of 99 hats that I found that I like, and that's ready to go. So I think that's good in terms of efficiency. The downside is you're just then limiting yourself.
Yeah.
I think for me, the battle with production is always time versus what you want to do.
Yeah.
So like the external gear, a guitar, a synth, whatever it is, more than likely can probably sound better. It's just the time that it takes to do that.
Yeah.
Especially when I don't know how you are with all the MIDI stuff. That is my worst nightmare of getting everything linked up, timed up, all stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cannot do it. Half of the stuff that I've used the Korg for is just me recording audio over the top.
Yeah.
So then it's out of time. You've got to time stretch it. It sounds crap.
Yeah. I totally agree with what you're saying. You want to minimize the amount of time it is between fiddling and getting music down, because then you lose steam. You might get distracted or lose motivation even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think you should definitely save time where you can and where it doesn't affect the quality.
Yeah, 100% agree. I've
So
had
one-
studio sessions before when you are sitting down with people and they're a lot more patient than I am. And
Yeah,
they're just like
yeah,
fiddling and fiddling. And I'm like going
Yeah.
crazy. I'm like, I can't do this.
My friend who I do the Dream System stuff is like, he's like the opposite of me
Yeah.
when it comes to making music. So he's will delve a lot deeper into specific sounds, and I'm ready to move on from there.
Yeah.
But
We're very similar like that. I'm like, if something isn't working within 3 seconds, I'm like, next sound. Like, let's.
'cause I also think that what you do at the start doesn't necessarily have to be the same as what you finish with. So let's say that you use a kick drum. If I'm using a 909 kick drum sample, it doesn't have to be perfect. I know I'm probably going to find a better one later down the line, and if I need to change it, I can do.
Yeah.
But as long as there's a kick in there, or for whatever you're using, for example, if you're using a synth and you're going through presets and stuff, 9 times out of 10, try and word this, you get like most of it from that initial thing. So if you know it's like a thick, rich sounding pad, the specifics of how it sounds, I'm not too bothered about.
Totally,
If
yeah.
it functionally does the thing that I want it to do, because I can come in and change it later.
Yeah. It's just like similar. I was saying this to someone yesterday. It's like the same as like when you're in uni or whatever and you're writing like an essay. It's like you just got to start the first paragraph and then you'll get it going, and then you always go back and fix the first or delete the first paragraph anyway. So it's just like get it started.
Yeah.
Get the
especially if you're in that creative mode, or my first, like when I sit down generally, I'll have like a creative session, and then other times will be rewriting, fixing the bugs, that sort of stuff. If you're in that creative session and you've got inspiration from this track, I think you need to get it out as quick as possible, get it down onto the page, start it, and then once you've got the idea, you can add to it, you can adjust. That doesn't really take as much creativity. Once you know sort of where the track is going, you can come back to that and add to that a week or two later.
Yeah. That's such a good point, man. I totally agree. I'm exactly like that. Like it's so fleeting, you know?
Yeah.
And like you don't want to waste kind of opportunities. Now, it's only been in like the last 3 months I've started recording voice memos, which I never used to do.
Yeah.
And it's like been a game changer for me, because like if I'm like riding to work or like at the gym and I just think of like a melody, I'm now recording it in voice memos. And then when I sit down, I just listen to I'll listen to the voice memo, and then I'll be like, oh, this is like a really cool idea. And it triggers me again.
You've got to catch it when it comes to you, haven't you? Whatever it is. Like sometimes I'll just think of a title for a track and that'll be the inspiration for it. Like, or I'll hear a track in a podcast, like a mixed podcast. So I'll just screenshot where it is in that podcast. And then when I do come to sit down, I'll find it again and I'll work from there.
Yeah.
But that was one thing I was going to say before. I'm a big believer in either with learning to produce, or if you're trying to find your best work. I think it goes for anything, but I'm just a big believer in there's like a number of tracks you need to make before you're going to be good or great or whatever. Let's say you need to make 1,000 tunes before you're going to make really, really good music. You just need to make them.
Yeah.
And within the process of making them, you'll learn new stuff and whatever else. But if you just go through the process of making 1,000 pieces of music, by the end of that, you're going to have amazing music. Whether it's 1,000, 500, 10,000, whatever it is, you just need to do that thing, and along the way you'll pick it up. But
totally, that's such
it's
good
almost
advice.
like just a logical. Instead of having emotion in it or even creativity, just think of, right, I'm just going to make a track today.
Yeah.
And the process of making a track, you'll learn stuff and you'll pick up new things and you'll listen to stuff. You'll send it to people that'll give you feedback, and just a numbers game almost.
Yeah, that is such good advice for getting better at anything, really.
Yeah.
It's like I think about that, a similar concept when I'm just learning new skills, and I think like you're gonna fail no matter what. So I just think like the quicker I can keep failing, like if I just get 100%. That out of the way, then I'll just get better quicker, you know? So that's like you just got to be not scared.
Yeah. Because I listen back to even the first Bandcamp tunes, like all of them I would do differently now.
Yeah.
And I think that'll probably be the way, if not forever. I think you can be the type of person you are, you're going to lean more towards that or less towards that. I think I've always been too focused on production quality rather than, like, I don't know what you'd call it, the idea of the tune, like the
actual
feeling,
music
the melody.
itself.
Yeah. I've always been more bothered about how it sounds specifically. Does that kick drum sound all right? Does that bass sound all right? Which meant I put less into the actual music as a whole. So that's always a bit that I'm hung up on, is something will come out and a year later I'm thinking, that mix down is rubbish, or the bass sounds muddy, or whatever it might be. Instead of thinking it's catchy, it's re-listenable, people enjoy it. That's what matters.
Totally. And you can always do like the remaster version in 20 years.
Yeah.
Music. So a lot of that older music from the 90s and stuff like that is, it sounds like it doesn't, basically sounds crap compared to the music that's out now. Like the production quality now is so much better. Everything is better. So, but those tracks still stand the test of time because musically, arrangement, all that stuff is amazing.
And I think if it's good music, it's good music. It doesn't need to sound great. It would be nice if it did, but you've got to just try and let that be it, haven't you? Is the music good? Do you enjoy it? That's it.
That's right. It's only chin strokers like you and me who are like, that claps too loud when we're on the dance floor.
And you'll see, like, you'll go to an event and there'll be 1,000 people dancing to something that you think is bad production quality. And
totally, man.
Does it even matter when everyone's enjoying it?
Everyone's having a good time. That's all that matters.
No one wants to listen to that when you're moaning about it.
Cool, man. It's about time to wrap it up. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. That was good fun. That flew by.
Man. I told we had a really good chat. A few nuggets in there.
Yeah.
But let's get going down the bloop and hear you play some tunes.
Thank you very much.
No worries, man.